Darling, I understand that you are eager to get settled into your new workplace and understand how things operate around here, but please, stop with all of the questions. Yes, I know you're very curious about everything. You don't know how being a Reaper even works, but let me tell you something. Asking question after question without giving me time to answer doesn't make things go any quicker. In fact, it only slows them down because I get confused and then I start messing up my words and I can't even think of the answers to give you. It's all right, darling. It is perfectly fine. Now, let's go a bit slower with the questions, shall we? Let's start with the first one, all right? How much do we get paid? Certainly not enough. Most of us have to work overtime, that is, assuming they don't find some insignificant little reason to deny your request for overtime. Yes, darling, I do speak from personal experience. I was bored one week since my beloved Bassie was out of town, and, I decided that I'd spend a little extra time on my work. So I put in my request for some overtime, and wouldn't you know it, they found a reason to deny my request. Why? Well, I suppose you could call it creating an uncomfortable work environment. Well, you see, I have a habit of flirting with our boss. His name is William. William T. Spears is his full name. He'll most likely give it to you again, but he's rather stern, rather strict, always trying to adhere to the rules, which is so annoying, although I do suppose it gives me the chance to be the rebellious girl who seeks his affection and eventually wins his heart, although such a feat seems impossible at this point. All of my attempts to flirt with him completely backfire. What have I tried? Well, I've tried getting overtime with him, and when I have been successful, it doesn't exactly go the way I want it to. How so? Well, darling, initially he was annoyed with me because I broke the rules, and, he may or may not have stepped on me, and thrown a chainsaw on me. And then he proceeded to drag me off by my hair. Now, don't get that fretful little look on your face. You see, darling, I happen to be killing people out of sheer fun. I wasn't doing my job properly, and he called me out on it. Unfortunately, though, that didn't prove well later. I was then given unpaid overtime. So, to try and make it fun, I decided to attempt to flirt with Will some more. That also didn't go very well. You see, I dropped a few papers in front of him, and when I bent down to pick them up, he decided it would be a good idea to hit the backs of my legs with his death scythe, which caused me to fall over. And he then proceeded to pull me by my hair back up to my feet, and though it was deserved, I suppose, it was rather frustrating. Oh? Darling, you seem a bit nervous. You're starting to shake. Darling? Darling, are you all right? Darling, can you hear me? Darling? Oh dear. All right, darling. I want you to focus on my voice, okay? Can you do that? Can you focus on my voice? All right, take a deep breath. Oh, slowly. Do your best, it's all right. Take a deep breath in. And can you try to let it out just as slowly? Oh, all right. Darling, I want you to try again. It's all right, you're doing a great job so far. Just try again, would you? Try to be a bit slower this time as well. Deep breath in, and release it. All right, that was a bit quicker than last time. Oh dear. Darling, can you open your mouth for me? All right, that's good. Now, I do apologize in advance for what I'm about to do. Trust me, it's in your best interest. Keep your mouth open, darling. Oh, my apologies, darling. I read somewhere that overwhelming one sense when someone is having an anxiety attack or a panic attack can help to ground them. What is this? Oh, it's, I don't want you to panic. After all, you're a Reaper now, you're immortal. You can't be killed or harmed. It's poison, darling. It's poison. Calm down. It only overwhelmed your senses because, well, it has a very strong flavor for immortal beings, and since we are immortal beings, it overwhelmed your sense of taste, which did ground you, didn't it? Good. Now, I want you to sit down for a moment. You're still shaking. I know you think you're fine. I know you want to say that you're fine, and you want me to believe it, but you need to sit down, all right, darling? Darling, I've been through this before. Please, sit down, all right? Very good. I'll sit beside you, okay? Now, can you tell me, if you're comfortable with it, what brought on this sudden anxiety or panic attack? All right. Slow down a moment, okay? You need to take your time and remember to breathe between sentences, darling. After all, I don't want you having another attack like that. I'd hate to waste so much poison on you. Not that it'd be a waste, of course, darling. It's just, well, it's meant to kill people, not treat anxiety attacks. Now, can you tell me calmly and slowly what exactly brought this on? What I was saying? Oh goodness, darling. I am so sorry. Can you tell me exactly what it was that I said that brought this on? What I said about Will? Oh, darling. Did you get nervous and think that he was going to hurt you? Oh dear. Darling, I want to assure you, Will is not that kind of Reaper. I know that what I said certainly makes him seem like a bad person, but I assure you, he doesn't act this way with other Reapers. Just me. Why? Well, darling, the time that I went on a killing spree with a human wasn't my first misdemeanor, and it certainly wasn't my last. Well, do you think you'll be able to handle all of the details? All right. First of all, I modified my death scythe without getting it approved. I changed it to a chainsaw, and I then proceeded to assist a human in a murder spree, only of women who were not meant to die, and who had sought a medical procedure, a perfectly understandable medical procedure, but, well, when you get caught up in the heat of the moment, it's easy to make someone else look like the bad guy. But I digress. I then proceeded to kill the woman with whom I was working, and I attempted to attack a demon. No, that isn't against the rules, but it is certainly frowned upon. And then, when he was about to kill me, I decided to offer a human, his young master, bratty young master, information about who had killed his parents, which I'm not allowed to do, and that was all in the span of about a week, maybe 2. Either way, that was just one of several occasions upon which I broke the rules. Other times? Well, I continued to assist this demon and his human master, mostly because that demon is absolutely attractive, and, oh goodness, I'd love to bear his children if only he'd let me, and if I were capable of such a thing. But, once again, I digress. I continued to assist him, which is certainly frowned upon, and I continued to inappropriately flirt with William even after he asked me to stop. Well, he didn't exactly ask me to stop, he told me, rather, he demanded that I stop. I didn't, and I even took some photographs of him, and I stalked him. Quite a bit. But that's beside the point. The point is, I have done a lot of reckless and senseless things while I've been here. That is the only reason William treats me this way, I assure you, darling. No, darling. If you make a mistake, he isn't going to hit you on the head with his death scythe like he does with me. Yes, he has to do that a lot, though he mostly only does so when the hopeless romantic side of me takes hold and I start swooning over random men. Which, now that I think of it, that happens quite a bit. He actually had to whack me again recently to get me out of it. Oh yes, I'm being quite serious, darling. Look, I even have the bump on my head to prove it. Oh, darling, you're starting to shake again, and your breathing is a bit uneven. Listen to me. Unless you act as I do and go out of your way to break the rules and constantly flirt with the boss, you're going to be just fine. He won't yell at you, he won't harm you. He will treat you with respect, all right? Yes, darling, I promise. Oh, of course, darling. If he ever treats you rudely or attempts to cause you harm, I will take my safety scissors and I will cut off his hair. Oh, of course, darling, I'm being deadly serious. After all, I haven't known you very long, but you do seem to be a rather nice person, and you're very understanding. You remind me quite a bit of myself from when I was a human. Oh, indeed, darling. Which, now that I think of it, might not be such a good thing. After all, if you act like me as a human right now... Oh, God! That means that in the future you might start acting as I do now, which means that I might have a bit of competition. Oh, darling, I'm only joking. Although, it would be rather interesting if we became rivals, or, as some would put it, enemies. Why would that be interesting, darling? Well, I tend to read a lot of romantic fiction, and so far, my favourite trope is enemies to lovers.